Before I begin the message for today, a few announcements. First, I just talked with Ann Spiegler, and the surgery went well. They had to take more tissue out than expected, but they feel they have gotten all the cancerous tissue out. She seems to be in real good spirits, and so keep her in your prayers. Secondly, next week we will be together at an outdoor service at the outdoor chapel. Please bring a mask and observe social distancing. If you wish, you can bring lawn chairs, and we will have folding chairs that we can place around. But if you'd like to be more comfortable, long chairs can be used. Also next week, at the end of the service, we will have the distributing of plants, and there are plenty of them. And if you feel that you don't want to come to the service, but would like to receive a plant, you can come after the 10:30, and you can receive plant also. So I believe that's as far as we can go at this point, and so hope to see you next week. Sitting on my porch Thursday night, I watched the storms overtake the darkness. There seemed to be several different storm cells which never directly struck my location, but the distant lightning lighted the darkness of the sky. Even though storms are considered to be turmoil of nature, I found the experience to be profoundly peaceful. It was reassuring to know that nature continues to follow its course, regardless of the turmoil and crisis man may be living. It is a calming influence to know and experience the awesome wonders of the creation which God has given us. Even in an often frightening thunderstorm, we can find peace, for we are drawn from man's trials and crisis to the awe and wonder of God's creation. The ancient people were correct in seeing the wonders of this creation by relating, and God saw it was good. All too often in our modern world and living, in the urban settings, people no longer have the experience of the natural world which God has given us. All too many never experience the daily wonders of nature. Instead, the creations of man formed out of brick, mortar, steel, and asphalt are the daily experience. Accompanying this is the hustle and bustle of the economic reality, which allows little or no time to have those common peaceful times in the natural world of God's handiwork. The lack of experience in God's natural world hinders any understanding of God as creator. Thus, there is a little concept that God, the Father, continues to reveal himself through that which he created. This makes it so much easier to indiscriminately destroy that precious gift of his handiwork. No longer does God's love through his creation have any sense of reality and concern. All too often, we much rather live in the world of man's creation to the exclusion of the peace which in God's world of nature. Not only is this love denied as found in God's creation, but denied in living among his children. More likely, man chooses to follow the way of allowing fear and hate to rule relationships. Love becomes misinterpreted as loving only those like me. In this, there is no peace. The words of the psalmist need to resound in our minds. When I considered your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars you have set in their courses. What are mere mortals that you should be mindful of them? Human beings that you should care for them? The answer is, he is our Father, whose love never ceases, regardless of how we may deny him and deny the gifts he has given us. But this endless love of God through his creation was not enough. God reinforced his love through the revelation of Jesus. Jesus was necessary to live the example of the loving Father for his creation. Jesus' message was clear, very, very clear. It was not a message of death and destruction, but a message of hope and life through love. His message proclaimed that everybody, regardless of social and economic standard, or being the brunt of social bias and prejudice, are a part of God's creation and are loved by God as their Father. Time and time again, Jesus' life illustrated this message. Just remember the powerful messages of the parable of the Good Samaritan. The Samaritan woman at the well, or eating with those who considered to be unclean, or healing those considered to be enemies. He clearly stated, "But I say to you, listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you." He goes on to further clarify God's love. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even the sinners love those who love them. God's reason for his revelation through Jesus can be found in Jesus' words. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. This abundant life was further clarified in that it was to be a life lived through God's love. He proclaimed, I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. Tragically, even this revelation of God's message of love is being denied by so many. It seems as though we rather follow the whims and wishes of a false prophet who dress in sheep's clothes. The demand of one's ego infatuates us into thinking that we know what love is. It isn't until a tragedy happens that we are shaken to the core of being and begin to understand the suffering which others may be receiving from societal neglect and wrongdoings. This is the time to let God's ever-present Spirit begin to guide us toward actions of love. God has not abandoned us in this time of trial and crisis. We need to see that God's love is ever present and needs to be fulfilled. Jesus promised, if you love me, you will keep my commandments, And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate to be with you forever. This is the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him because he abides with you and he will be in you. To know the Spirit of God within us, we must be honest with ourselves and not allow our own personal agendas keep us from the truth. This is particularly difficult during this time of highly charged political and biased emotions. But it is during such a time of crisis that we must take the time to reflect upon our lives and how we can best help bring healing to the suffering of our brothers and sisters. This means that we must reflect upon God's revelation through his creation, through the message of Jesus, and his presence within us. It is through this reflection of the revelations of God, the Holy Trinity, that will lead us not only to the truth, but to the paths of bringing healing to a troubled society and nation. Take heed of the psalmist's words to first be still and know that I am God. Peace will then begin to take over our lives and the world in which we live. Peace be with you. Amen.